set the candles on our kitchen table like contraband and said, "It opened to me." My wife's voice made that soft, holy shape it uses for carols and apologies. Our kids were building Lego forts on the floor, the dog's tail thumping like a drum. I stared at the labels, ritual, cleanse, path, and felt my obedience to ordinary life wobble on its feet. If I had to tell you what broke us, I could point to a dozen respectable things and one stupid one. But that night, it was the way the flames would later lick glass and make smoke smell like incense and sugar. It was the way Raina lifted her wedding ring and set it in the little ceramic dish by the sink with the same care she uses for our daughter's hair. "For the manicure tomorrow," she said, like we didn't both know it was Wednesday. The kids went to bed with Disney songs muttering through their teeth. I stood at the sink and watched the tap run cold enough to make bones sing. Raina tucked her feet under herself at the table and lit one candle, then another, and the wax bent the way truth does when you want it to be something else. "It's a sign," she said. "I've been praying for clarity, and then Bella brought these, and then I felt opened." "Open to what?" I said, because I am a warehouse manager and I stack questions until they stop falling. "To the path," she said, "to a person." I laughed in the old way, the way you do when the air makes a joke of itself. "A person like God," I said, and immediately hated how it sounded. "A person like Allah," she said, and I swear my heart coughed. "We live in Riverside, where Saturdays are for soccer and Sundays are for church, if you were raised like us. I know what holiness smells like. It smells like coffee and wood polish and people who chose the better shirt. It doesn't smell like the candles Bella bought at the shop next to the laundromat with a hand-painted sign that says Curanderia in fax. I don't hate that shop. I hate what it gave my wife for a story." Rihanna works the front desk at a dental office that is whiter than any tooth I've ever seen. She learned to pronounce whitening like a promise. She learned to make billing calls sound like she's doing you a favor. She also learned Hola's schedule. He's the new hygienist with a kindness that looks like a Hallmark card and forearms that suggest he lifts more than he says. If I'm smaller in this story, it's not because I didn't try. It's because something else got big. "Compulsion is not a sign," I said. "I'm not quick. I take a breath, and then the next one, and then I wrap my words in bubble wrap and send them gently. We have kids, we have church, we have us." "I know," she whispered, eyes bright with something that looked like love and felt like a shove. "I know, but I can't ignore this. Every time I pray, I see a road, and then Bella's candles, and then Hoa tells me his mother once had a dream about oranges meaning joy, and then I get 3 oranges at Sprouts in a bag, and there is literally an angel on the bag. I'm not stupid, Mark. I see the pattern." Our son's voice floated from the hallway. "Mom, can I get water?" He stood in pajamas, hair a monument to bed, looking like everything we'd ever done right. "Sure, baby," Rena said, and she was tender and effortless, and for a second I saw our old road out the window again. The next Wednesday, she took off her ring for the manicure. The next Thursday, the kids asked why Mom was sleeping at Auntie Bella's instead of our own bed. "Because Auntie Bella is sad," Rena said, and I watched our daughter look at me like she wanted the adult truth and I had a pocket full of pennies. I have my own rituals. I check doors twice. I match socks 6 at a time. I make a budget on legal pads because an Excel sheet feels like I'm trying to trap numbers that already want to escape. I don't chase signs. I chase shipping labels. But patterns have a way of finding you, even if you don't want to believe in magic. On my lunch break at the warehouse, I opened my phone and scrolled through the Wells Fargo app like a man who doesn't want to be surprised. The Apple Cash tab showed transfers to Bella with little note fields, clarity session, path, orange road, open, light. The amounts were small, 20s and 40s, but they were lined up like breadcrumbs. The times stamped on them were Wednesday afternoons. I stared until the screen timed out and showed me my face, older than it had a right to be. At night, I lay in bed listening for the garage door like a pilgrim listens for a bell. Rihanna would come home at 10,037 p.m. and the house would tilt back toward what it knew. "Bella helps me listen," she said. "It's harmless. You're making it ugly." "I'm making it plain," I said. She reached for my hand and placed it on her chest the way she did when we were dating, and she wanted to tell me the truth through skin. "I love you," she said, "but I think God is doing something." "God keeps Sabbath," I said. "He can take a day off." "You're mocking me," she said. "I'm begging you," I said. Sometimes I wonder if there was a night where if I had stood up, walked to the fridge, got out the milk, and said a perfect sentence, we would have taken the next exit and seen a different town. Maybe there never was. Maybe we had already passed it, and I'm just mourning a rest stop. The kids are 8 and 6, which means they talk like tiny lawyers and love like they invented it. Our son asked me the question the following week while carefully placing a blue block on top of a tower. "Why does Mom sleep at Auntie Bella's on Wednesdays?" he said. He didn't look up. He got the block right and looked relieved. "Because she's helping Bella with something," I said. "Truth, shaved thin like deli meat. What something? Grown-up something." He nodded like that was both enough and not anything. Our daughter was coloring a son that had too many rays because California told her that's how it is. "Is Auntie Bella your friend?" she said. "She's Mom's friend," I said. "She is my neighbor in the heart." "What's that?" she said. "It's when you're kind, because that's your job," I said, "even when it's hard." Rena started putting her ring in the ceramic dish every Wednesday noon. She said it was so the polish wouldn't dull. I wanted to believe it. I wanted to believe in lots of things. But then I found the trunk kit on a Saturday that had nothing wrong with it except everything. I was loading Costco water packs into the back of the Camry when the carpet lifted like it wanted to show me something. Underneath were candles in a shoebox, a small bag of salt, a jar of honey, a printout of a prayer. Bella must have found on a site that looks like it was built in 2004, and a folded note. The note said, in Bella's narrow, slanted hand, "Nein Shiu." My person of destiny. English would have been cruel. Russian made it worse. I sat on the curb by our mailbox with the sun baking the top of my head and read it 3 times. It was stupid. It was a lie in pretty ink. It was also enough to make me feel sick like I had swallowed oil, and it went the wrong way. That was the first peek, I guess, if you like plotting life like your Netflix. The first event where the stakes made their shape clear. I could be the man who watched and argued and waited for the sky to send him permission, or I could be the man who made a call. I called our church and asked for a meeting with Pastor Lewis and his wife Julia. They do the marriage counseling that isn't therapy, what we call care because it's church, but they are also the kind of people who know a belt breaks where you use it the most, not at the last hole. We sat in their little office that smelled like coffee and crayons from kids' church, and I told them what I knew and what I feared and what I hated to say. "I need help making sure our kids aren't dragged by a story they didn't write," I said. "I need a plan for if Raina keeps choosing this road." Luis nodded, hands steepled in that way. "Pastors learn that means I'm listening." Julia leaned forward, elbows on her knees. "We can support you," she said. "We can also make sure you're safe in your own house, and we can document what needs documenting. I don't say that because we're keeping score. I say it because courts don't care about poems." "We're not there," I said, and the words were half prayer. "I don't want to be there." "Then let's make sure we do our part," she said. "Boundaries, safety, kids' routines, no yelling. You can be honest when you're quiet." They gave me a sheet that felt like a homework assignment from a school I didn't want to attend. Safety plan. Who picks up kids if a fight starts? Where do the kids go if voices go high? Who is your call list if you need to leave fast? Do you have cash? Do you have copies of important documents in a bag that you hope you never grab? I put the paper in my truck and felt like a storm had accepted a name. We had a session with them, the 4 of us, the next week. Rihanna came in with her church face on, the one that creeps kindness into every word so you can't find the seams. "I feel seen by God in this season," she said, and the sentence made my jaw clench like it had bitten a stone. Luis is gentle in a way that works on people who confuse volume with power. "Feeling seen is lovely," he said. "Honesty is holy. Are you being physically faithful to your husband?" Rihanna watched him without blinking. "I have an emotional connection," she said. "We're at the beginning of something. I am not a liar. I am searching." Julia didn't smile. "A search doesn't require a body," she said. "Your body is married." Rihanna turned to me, and for a second I saw the girl I married near the Santa Ana River under a sky that looked too big for us. "I'm not trying to hurt you," she said. "I'm trying to respect what God is whispering." "God is not whispering in Bella's voice," I said. "God doesn't need Apple Cash." Julia exhaled in a way that told me her heart hurt and she'd learned to carry it without spilling. "Rena," she said, "we love you. We will keep loving you. But if you continue, this will have consequences. Not because we're punishing you, because kids need stable houses and truth keeps houses upright." Rihanna's eyes shone. "I feel judged." "You feel seen," Louise said. "Sometimes those are twins." The week after, Wednesday did what it does. Rena put her ring in the dish. She said, manicure and Bella and open. I watched her leave. I took a walk around the block and told God he could show up or not. I was going to do what I could either way. At 11:30, I got a text from a number I didn't know. Your wife is with a man at Anchos. Did you know? It was a hostess I grew up with, an old friend, the kind of girl who used to beat me at Foursquare and then lend me a pencil. I didn't answer. I didn't drive there. I didn't eat the burn of jalapeno and pretend it was the food. I put the phone face down and sat very still. When Raina came home at midnight, she smelled like citrus and grilled meat, and something in me snapped because I know the scent of a restaurant when it tries to wash off. I stood in the kitchen with the ceramic leaf dish between us like an altar. Did you sleep with him? I asked. I said it plain because I ran out of Bible words. She closed her eyes like a person who's about to dive. Yes, she said. I'm sorry, Mark. I didn't want to hurt you. I love him. He is a sign. I breathed in and the air dried my throat like I'd been laughing too long. Hoa is not a sign, I said. He's a man. You picked him. You didn't trip into holy. You took a left. She started to cry. Real, heaving, ugly tears, the kind that make you want to step in the puddle and say you'll be the mop. I love my wife, even when she wasn't mine. That was the worst and best part. Loving someone who is leaving is like hugging a moving bus. You feel heroic and stupid at the same time. I'll sleep at Bella's, she said. No, I said. You'll sleep here, in the kids' room, on the floor if you want to be penitent, in our bed if you want to be honest about that too. But you will not take this house and make it your getaway car. We didn't yell. The kids didn't wake. The night did what nights do when they pretend to be forever and then aren't. The next morning, I called my supervisor and told him I needed 3 days off to move my life across a hallway. He said, we got you, because he's the kind of boss who knows you will show up again if he doesn't make you choose between your paycheck and your pride. I called Pastor Lewis and Julia, and they showed up with coffee and tape and eyes that weren't surprised. We packed my things into boxes we labeled like adults. Socks, shirts, spare life. We packed the legal pads and the kids' drawings of me with arms that looked like trees. We left the ceramic leaf dish on the counter because the symbol belonged where it had always belonged. Where will you go? Raina asked, watching me tape a box. She held her own arms like a person who knows what arms are for and can't ask them to do the thing they're made for. 2 blocks away, I said. Doug has a room. He owes me for all the times I helped him move his pool table, so he's doing it cheap. What about the kids? She said. I'll have them Monday to Wednesday after school. You'll have Thursday to Saturday. Sundays we do church together like grown-ups if you can behave. If not, we'll do it apart. I'll file for temporary custody today. I'm not doing this informal. Paper is not hate. Paper is a plan. I said it with the kind of calm I'd always thought belonged to other men. She flinched. Are you trying to take them from me? I'm trying to give them a father who shows them that love is not a sign you pull out of a bag when you want a new road. I said, it's a table you set even when it's Wednesday. I spent my first night at Doug's with the sound of the 9-1 freeway in the distance, turning the dark into a long exhale. I looked at the ceiling and thought about our kids' hair and Hoa's forearms and Bella's candles and Pastor Lewis's hands and the note in Russian that wanted to be poetry and was just ink. I thought about God and didn't say anything because sometimes prayer is a look. I made a new routine because routines are bridges. Up at 6, pack lunches on my days. Text Rena when I drop them off so she has a screenshot of our kids in backpacks that make them look like turtles. Work until 4. Read a chapter of whatever book my daughter brings home because she says, you don't read like mom, and she means I do voices. Make spaghetti when I'm too tired to pretend I'm more than a man without a wife. Make arroz con palo when I want the house to remember what it's for. We did mediation with a county mediator who smelled like peppermint and patience. She wrote down what I said about Apple Cash and Wednesdays and rings and trunk kits and said, we'll file what we need to file. Rena's lawyer tried to make me paranoid for a paragraph and then realized the judge was a person and moved on. I didn't drink, I didn't date, I didn't do better than survive in a way I could hand to my kids and say, here, this is for when you're swimming in a river you didn't choose. Hoa moved to Corona 6 months later. Rena told me in a parking lot behind Target while we passed the kids and our son's backpack unzipped and dominoes fell like toys. He says it's for work, she said, eyes doing that glassy thing where tears want to perform and dignity wants to make them late. He says it's not us. I know that sentence, I said. It's never us and always us. I'm sorry, she said, sudden and wet, like maybe she meant it this time in the way that changes something. I believe you, I said. I still don't live with you. I found peace the way you find your wallet under the couch. Not because you pray, but because you get on your knees and feel for corners. I made dinner at the same time every night because kids need clocks more than they need speeches. I stopped asking the sky for permission. I asked myself for a plan. I went to the gym that smells like old rubber and pride. I sat in the back at church and didn't close my eyes when I sang because I wanted to watch the people I live among choose the lines of their mouths. I told God, I want responsibility more than romance. If you have any of that lying around, I'll take it. One Sunday, our daughter slipped her hand into mine during a song and said, "Are we stable?" in a voice that made the word sound like a town. I squeezed back. "We are," I said. "We're a place you can stand." She nodded like I'd given her the name of a street she could tell a friend later. Our son leaned against me and smelled like crayons and soap. I closed my eyes then, but not for long. I don't keep Bella's candles. I don't keep the note. I keep the ceramic dish. It holds my keys now, and the little gold chain our daughter outgrew, and the Lego minifigure that somehow follows me from room to room. I keep my ring on a chain in my drawer because the finger groove felt like a lie, and the drawer feels like a museum. The man I became after this is boring in the way no one writes songs about. He pays the electric on time. He knows where the immunization cards are. He can make 3 dinners. Kids will actually eat, and one that makes them groan and then eat anyway. He can tell you why unloading a truck at 5 a.m. is a finer religion than any sermon that tries to wash a choice in candles. 2 questions for you. When was the last time you asked for a sign because you were afraid to own your choice? And if you had to pick between magic and responsibility, which one would your kids thank you for a year from now? If this story stayed with you, leave a comment and subscribe.